The Black Veil Brides used to look like Nikki Sixx from Motley Crue. They used to growl, but they don't do that anymore. So what are they up to now? Okay, so before I go on, for everyone that's watching this video, please click subscribe. It's the big red button, you just can't miss it. Click it, it's really gonna help. Okay, now back to the video. The new Black Veil Brides album is called The Veil, but the name has nothing to do with Game of Thrones, just in case you were wondering. Yeah, so the singer's name is Andy Black, also known as Andy Biersack or known as Andy Sixx. Yeah, anyway, that guy also has a solo career, and in that solo career kind of sounds more like Justin Bieber than, you know, some old school rock. But then again, this is an album review for the Black Veil Brides, not his solo career, so I'm gonna stick with that. And for this new album, they hired their old producer, while the last album was produced by Bob Rock. Bob Rock produced Motley Crue's Dr. Feelgood, and he also produced Metallica's Black Album and another truckload of albums, pun intended. The album before Veil had some really good credentials. If the guy worked with Bon Jovi, Motley Crue, and I don't know, The Cult, I'm guessing that he can make a good album with just about any band. And I've listened to the album they did with Bob Rock, and it's a decent album. It's not, you know, the best album ever, but it was okay. It was a step in the right direction. It was a new beginning for the Black Veil Brides. The kind of beginning that can maybe bring them closer to the old, great metal bands of the 80s and the 90s, which they kind of aspired to be. I was really looking forward to what they are gonna put out next, because I thought it was gonna be something, you know, in that vein. But they didn't follow that path. Before every Black Veil Brides fan just loses their mind, I really have to point out that Black Veil Brides is a really good band. The guitar players as a duo are actually much better than some other famous guitar duos. Avenged Sevenfold! One of the guitar players is in charge of all of the orchestral parts and all of that stuff, while the other guy is in charge of these complicated solos, guitar virtuoso stuff and all of that. The bass player is solid, the drummer is a world-class drummer. Individually, they're all great. Collectively, as a band, they're actually better players than some famous arena bands like, I don't know, Metallica. That being said, there are a couple of problems. I don't think that they're ever gonna appeal to the majority of metal audience, and not because of the whole hair and makeup stuff, that's irrelevant, but their songwriting lacks magic. How can I explain this? If you go to a movie theater in 2018, you're going to see some really good special effects. Some guy in some futuristic movie will shoot a huge shiny looking gun at some target. That gun won't shoot any bullets because bullets are dangerous, so you won't see any carnage, blood, you won't see hanging bowels and, you know, feces flying around. That just won't happen. Because of all of that PG-13 bullcrap, the gun is gonna shoot some laser pulse, and you know, it's gonna be like you're blowing those stupid smoke rings. The bullet won't actually be a laser bullet, it's gonna be some neon pulse ring, you know, that's just gonna fly. That neon smoke ring is gonna pump out some serious bass from the subwoofers. It's gonna be really loud, and when the pulse comes to the target, the guy who got shot, he's just gonna fly away like he's being violently pushed. He's gonna fall down. You won't see any blood. There's no carnage and no open bone fractures, nothing of the sorts. And that's how, you know, Hollywood is today. Black Veil Bride song kind of have the same effect. I mean, the band sounds impressive at parts, you know. The band looks like something that no girl's mother would want to have, you know, around the house and around her daughters. The Black Veil Brides kind of lack that true danger and that brutal honesty that all of these older bands just seem to possess. A part of the problem is the production, which is over the top as much as their looks. I really don't mind the looks. I mean, that's a personal preference, you can look whatever you want. But I do mind the production values. Every sound is just in your face. The bass drum sounds like somebody is in a hurry to cut a piece of paper with some plastic scissors. The saddest part about all of that is that I know that the drummer is playing a drum workshop kit. For all of you that don't know what I'm talking about, the company that makes his drums is like better than Tesla is with cars. So it's like a Rimac Concept 1, but with a range of 2,000 miles plus. What I'm really trying to say is when you put a microphone in front of his drum, it should sound like bliss, it should sound beautiful. But instead, because of all of the skewed production values, the drums kind of sound like this. That's not how a drum should sound like. I'm sorry guys, but it's not. Having fast double bass patterns within a song doesn't actually help the song if the rest of the song sucks. Their songs are often too short to develop a proper narrative. The buildup of the instruments also happens like way too fast and too abruptly. The guitar parts are cool, but often the cool parts are too condensed into these little clusters where there's too much going on at the same time and you can't really figure out like what instruments are you supposed to be listening at that given time. Now for the big one. Contrary to popular belief, Andy Biersack is not a good singer. I mean, I'm just stating the facts. In order to cover up that fact, the band uses different production methods that kind of help hide that fact. They use effects and they use a lot of backing vocals, which kind of take away from any honesty that the lyrics actually might have. I'm glad that he stopped growling though. If you pair up the complete lack of vibrato technique along with Andy's tendency not to sing in key and to avoid all of the higher notes, that really takes away from the song because there is no drama in his vocal delivery and then you can't really feel the story. When performing live, he's always on the move, so he's always like puffing, whatever. So the bass player and the guitar player always sing the backup vocals, and actually sometimes they even sing the lead vocals. But that kind of seems to work within a live situation. But on an album, you really need some more sophisticated methods in order to hide, the fact that the guy isn't a good singer. Definitely the worst thing about their songs is their constant use of gang vocals, or chants as they're called now. When you're listening to their stuff, it kind of sounds that every single song has a gang vocal that oh, and all of that whoa. I mean, why do you need that? I think that the maximum amount of songs that feature gang vocals per album should be 3. I mean, if you have more than that, then you're just a gang vocal band. That constant use of back vocals actually takes away even more from the song. You have to understand that all of these gang vocals are layered on top of each other and they sound really polished, so the album feels more like mainstream radio crap than really songs that, have balls and that are profound in nature. Now, because of all those reasons and their lack of creative potential, all of their songs sound exactly the same. Their songs just aren't compelling. Because the vocal is unsure of his performance and because he has limited capabilities, one vocal line cannot hold a verse by itself. So basically, every time he sings, he needs some sort of training wheels. Vocals aside, what are the, main topics of their lyrics, you might ask? Well, it doesn't really matter. All of their songs sound identical. It doesn't matter if they're 2 minutes long or 8 minutes long. They sound completely identical. Looks aside, this is a really good band with a lot of potential, but bad leadership. Within their songs, you can find some Avenged Sevenfold, you can find some, Shine Down, you can find some Five Finger Death Punch even, but their songs aren't there yet. With proper production values and with a producer that knows what he's doing, so I'm not talking about some guy that's just there to record that album, I'm talking about a producer that actually steps in when their authorship fails. A guy that can actually make the song better. With a really good producer behind the console, they can sound much better. And they did. They recorded their previous album with the great Bob Rock. The drums sounded much better. The guitar sounded much better. Everything sounded much better, and less plasticky. I mean, he actually even made Andy Biersack sound decent. If you're a fighter and you want to be accepted by the audience, you need to fight with some, big fighters. You need to fight some big names. You need some MMA fights, and then, if you win some, you're gonna be accepted. Sadly, this band, although they can, they kick and punch and everything, but they don't compete in MMA, they compete in pro wrestling. Therefore, the band can currently, and I need to stress currently, can only basically appeal to kids. Kids are actually more easy to fool with the fancy imagery and stuff. And because the concert format actually didn't change in the last 40 years, these kids that are behind the barricades are actually having their Metallica moment. But the band on stage isn't Metallica from 30 years ago, and they're not getting the same experience. And that just sucks. I mean, it sucks being 15 in this day and age. What can I say? If you really want to listen to what Black Veil Brides is capable of, just listen to their self-titled album. The album was produced by Bob Rock, who has a lot of experience with bad singers. Vince Neil. He made Andy Biersack sound decent. Listen to the song Fateless and walk away from that album. You can actually find some, Purple Rain and some Lynyrd Skynyrd in these songs. If you want to hear this new album, if you want to listen to the older album, it's all down in the description below. Please subscribe to my channel. Music is your friend, and I'm signing off. So is Albert there. Adios.